I'm Rowan, and today we will be going through the next installment of the recorded version of the Transmystics group. Today we're going to be talking a little bit about Ignatius and doing a contemplative practice based on his spiritual exercises. So before we get into the material, I usually like to invite us here at this point to take a moment to check in with yourself. What brings you here today? What are you carrying with you today, and how might you like to attend to that throughout the practice? Maybe what intention would you like to set for the practice today? So, however, you would like to reflect on that, that could just be sitting with these questions and seeing what comes up. It could be journaling or some other practice, but feel free to pause the video here and restart when you would like to move forward. So, a little bit about Ignatius's background. He was born in Spain in 1491, the youngest of 13 children. At age 16, he left home to work in a government position and eventually became an officer in the Spanish army. His leg was broken by a cannonball and he was bedridden for a year. He ended up reading books about Christ and saints during his difficult recovery period. He realized that God was working within him, prompting, guiding, and inviting him. He left home in 1522, surrendered his sword at a shrine, gave his clothing away, and took on a life as a poor pilgrim. During this time, he developed the spiritual exercises that we will look at a little bit today. And then he later developed the Society of Jesus, also known as the Jesuits, with others that became an official religious order, and they founded schools throughout the world. He died in 1556 and was later canonized in 1622. So now we'll go into some words of Ignatius. So I would encourage you to get into a space of whatever would help you to really sit with and receive these words from Ignatius. That could be sitting with your eyes closed and just really trying to take in the words as I read through them a couple of times. Or if you would like to read them along with me, or write the words, or write words that really stand out for you, or set the mood for yourself to really receive. Maybe that looks like lighting a candle or some incense, something like that. Whatever would help you to get into that space to really receive as we move into working with Ignatius. So, the spiritual truths. The first spiritual truth is that love ought to manifest itself more by deeds than by words. The second spiritual truth is that love consists in mutual communication between the two persons. That is, the one who loves gives and communicates to the beloved what he or she has, or of what one has or can have, and the beloved in return does the same to the lover. Thus, if one has knowledge, one gives it to the other who does not. And similarly, in regard to honors and riches, each shares with the other. The first spiritual truth is that love ought to manifest itself more by deeds than by words. The second spiritual truth is that love consists in mutual communication between the two persons. That is, the one who loves gives and communicates to the beloved what he or she has, or a part of what one has or can have. And the beloved in return does the same to the lover. Thus, if one has knowledge, one gives it to the other who does not. And similarly, in regard to honors and riches, each shares with the other. I also wanted to share this verse that came up as I was researching Ignatius from John 17:21. That all may be one as you, Father, are in me and I am in you. That all may be one as you, Father, are in me and I am in you. Now, if you would like to spend some more time with these words and sitting in contemplation with them, feel free to pause the video here and resume whenever you are ready to move forward. So now we'll look at the four developmental stages that Ignatius speaks to. These are points of contemplation, evolving stages to observe the ways that God expresses love to us. These are here for us to reflect upon, delight in, be grateful for, stand in awe of, and hope. So in the first stage, giving gifts, God gives tangible objects to us. In the second stage, presence, God remains at our side along with the gifts given. In the third stage, cooperative interaction, God keeps acting through those gifts with us and for us. And in the fourth stage, mutual indwelling, the most evolved form of loving, God shares the divine self or the ultimate gift with us. In this way, God enables us, God and me, to act as one, I in God and God in me. So today for our contemplative practice, we'll be looking more at God-giving gifts, focusing around creation as the original blessing or gifts from God, God showing love through action of giving gifts. So I'm going to read through 7 areas of examples of gifts. And so, what I would like to encourage you to do, maybe you've already been thinking about, or some have come to mind of gifts that God has given to you. Make mental note of those, or if you'd like to jot them down. But I'm also going to be reading through some other examples of gifts that have been given. And so, again, you can make mental note of those or jot them down if there's anything that stands out to you that you feel called to focus in on today. So, number 1, consider the divine gifts of creation that astronomy has revealed to us, including gifts that Ignatius in his day had little or no awareness of, or of how and when they were given. For example, Ignatius had no sense of the vast number of galaxies or the age of the universe. Number 2, observe the gifts God has been giving us that the life sciences have revealed to us. Notice that these gifts are not static, but active, interactive, and evolving. As life forms kept evolving in complexity over eons of time, from sensation to perception to movement to social life, We observed that consciousness became an emergent property of life, and still the evolutionary process keeps moving onward. Number 3, recognize the evolutionary law at work in all things. Even St. Paul recognized that divine creation is still incomplete, still in process. Through discoveries in science and technology, we have come to recognize in our limited way the fundamental law driving creation onward and upward. Number 4, God's gifts on the microscopic side, revealed by science, show the incredible complexity and activity of each living being. The human genome, the trillions of cells that live in our bodies, each cell itself a living being with its own highly complex interactive life. Number 5, recognize God's gift of Earth itself, our home planet. All the beauties of mountains, plains, and skies, all the power of tornadoes, hurricanes, tidal waves, floods, deserts, and frozen tundra. Number 6, do not forget to reflect on God's gifts that flow naturally from human consciousness and human society, such as civilization, music, art, literature, society, communication, transportation, recreation, science, mathematics, architecture, ecology, entertainment, film, radio, television, etc. Number 7, consider all the gifts you have personally received: talents, skills, education, opportunities, family, friends. Don't forget your 5 senses, as well as your memory, intelligence, willpower, imagination, freedom to choose, the ability to love and make commitments, the ability to accomplish things, to create things that never existed before, to build teams, to worship, etc. All right. So, as you make note of the ones that are standing out to you today, the gifts that you feel called to focus on, we will move through a few areas of contemplation. So, I would encourage you now to get into a space that for you is your contemplative space, whatever that looks like. Again, if it's sitting with your eyes closed, if it's laying down, if it's movement, if it's grabbing your journal, if it's grabbing some art supplies, whatever for you feels like the right context to receive and listen and sit with your gifts. And if you need a moment to grab something, feel free to pause and restart the video. We will start moving through these 3 areas now. So as you bring your gifts to mind, we will go through these few areas. All right, the first prelude. Remember, as we're going through these, to bring those gifts to mind. From the scriptures, we learn that God chose to express the divine self outside itself, as it were, by creating a universe that would reflect God's creative love. From science, we learn that what came from God's self-expression was a universe that God could delight in as it grew and evolved over many billions of years. God delighted as the human race emerged from the evolving earth, for they would be a people who could become conscious of how much God loves them. And I'll sit with that for a couple of minutes. And if you'd like to sit with that longer, again, feel free to pause here and resume the video when you'd like to move forward. The second prelude. Here imagine yourself surrounded by an omnipresent God holding the human race in loving existence and wanting to be lovingly involved with them, giving countless gifts to people individually and collectively. And we'll sit with that for a couple of minutes. Again, feel free to pause here if you would like to spend some more time with this prelude and resume when you're ready. To the third prelude. Here, ask for the grace to discover the thousands of ways that God loves you and all of creation. The grace to experience in your body and soul what it feels like to be loved so uniquely and unconditionally by God. The grace to feel tangibly connected to God, to be immersed in God and in God's creation, and the grace to feel deep gratitude and wonder at the boundless love God shows in every moment. And we'll sit with that for a couple of minutes. All right, and again, feel free to pause the video here if you would like to, and resume whenever you feel ready to move forward. So now that you have seen the myriad gifts God has given you and your fellow humans, you are invited to show that you have felt and grasped this first level of love. So, this is a space for you to respond back to those gifts. What would you like to say to God or the divine in response to those gifts that you have received? And this is a space for you to speak directly to the divine, to actively respond within that relationship dynamic. And if you would like to spend some more time with this, again, feel free to pause the video and resume whenever you're ready to move forward. All right. And lastly, this might be a good time to reflect on your experience with Ignatius, with the practices. What came out of your practice today? Were there learnings? Were there things that you realized? Were there questions? Were there difficulties? To just take a little bit of time to reflect on your practice and if there's anything that you would like to carry forward. So I will leave you there to take your reflection time. Feel free to join us for the live Transmystics group in the future. And if you would like some individual support, feel free to reach out to me if you'd like to do some individual spiritual direction. Thank you again for joining me for the practice today. I hope that it was a supportive and fruitful practice, and I will see you next time.